Previously on My Inner Life.
Upon arriving at Griffin Gorge, be sure to pause and cast your eyes northerly, up the Hyperborean Mountains, taking in the breathtaking beauty of Griffinstone.
We now return to My Inner Life. At about midday, we reached the base of the Black Mountains. We dismounted and guided our horses towards the main entrance into the mountain where Dalamar waited. As he eyed us over, his crystal blue eyes flickered with contentment
Phrasing?
from finally being home once again. I must see the council elders and tell them my safe return home. Please follow me. This cave leads to our city just atop the mountain, Dalamar said as he walked inside the cave. The torches lit along the cave wall, causing his white feathers to glisten red. Link and I followed, guiding our horses behind us as we made our way up the dim, winding trail that led to the top. After a tiring hike, we finally emerged into a beautiful city. The buildings were made of pearl white stone, the roads paved with beautiful marble, and streets bustling with griffins of all different colors, shapes, and sizes. Female griffins walked with their younglings as they ran around their clawed feet while they played. The market was brimming with lively griffins about their daily wares. Some stood in front of their shops, sweeping the pavement, while others walked into taverns for a much-needed drink. Then my eyes rested upon a tall white tower with a marble roof resting in the center of the city. A flag with a symbol of a griffin on its hind legs with its wings spread flapping in the wind at the top. All I could do was stare in awe at the magnificent tower that loomed in front of me. Then my eyes moved to the snowy white griffin standing next to me. That is the Tower of the Griffin Council, also known as the Tower of the Elders, a place where the council elders lie, Dalamar quoted, his eyes transfixed forward. I must go now and see the elders. Jenna, you and Link can wait for me at the inn. I will return shortly, Dalamar said as he returned to leave. Okay, my friend. We will be waiting for you at the inn then. We'll see you soon, Link returned as he took my hand and led me into the city. We made our way into the marble streets among the crowd of lively griffins. My eyes just stared transfixed as we walked through the streets. The eyes of passing griffins watched us as we walked by, their stares of distrust causing me to move up against Link. He looked down into my worried eyes as he put a comforting arm around me, while our free hands pulled on the reins of our horses, guiding them behind us. Then we finally reached the inn. A sign on the front read, "The Griffin's Vineyard." Link went inside to fetch a stable hand to take our horses to the stable. Why the hell is there a stable in a place that's run by griffins? When he came back, he had a big, burly, dark brown griffin with him. His red eyes shone with caution as he walked forward and reared up on his hind legs. Taking the reins of our horses in his talons, he led them to the back of the inn and into the stables. Then Link and I headed inside. The inn was clean. Its wooden floors were swept and shiny. The innkeeper, a slender tan female griffin, was busy wiping the counter with a damp rag, while husky griffins of all different colors sat around tables drinking ale. Link and I walked up to the innkeeper, her black eyes locking with ours. Innkeep, my wife and I would like a hot meal and a room for the night, Link said as he placed 3 red rupees on the counter. The innkeeper slowly lifted her slender clawed hand and took the rupees in it. She pulled them close to her beaked face and examined them before looking back at us. I've got 1 room and it will be skewered pork with potatoes to eat this night, she returned, her hard gaze resting on us. Link and I went and sat at a table near the fire, its red glow reflecting off our skin as it warmed us. Oh, an innkeeper, bring us a jug of your best ale! I think we both need a good drink this night. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jenna doesn't know what alcohol fetal syndrome is, Link added nonchalantly as he unfastened his scabbard from his back and laid it next to him, his hand resting gently on the hilt. I just sat there staring into the fire. The flames flickered and danced, causing haunting shapes to form in them. I felt Link's soft stare rest on me. Jenna, are you okay? You look troubled. My eyes continued to stare deeply into the fire. Jenna, what's wrong? Jenna. I watched as the flames continued to dance, my eyes transfixed on them, dragging my mind into a state of deep thought.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
When suddenly I felt a warm hand on my shoulder. Snapping out of my trance, I looked over to see Link staring at me with concern in his deep blue eyes. Huh? Oh, Link, what's wrong? I asked, my eyes locked with his. I was just asking you the same thing, hun. You seemed lost there for a moment. His hand gently rested on top of mine, his soft blue eyes staring deeply into mine. What's troubling you, my love? I returned to staring into the fire. I was still thinking of last night when those draconians attacked us. I still remember those wicked yellow eyes and dank breath. And even those damn dark knights with their twisted laughs and devilish black armor they wore. Shivers started to run up my spine as my skin suddenly seemed to turn cold. I never thought in all my days I would encounter something as evil as them. I felt Link's other hand clasp over mine as he held in with his warm palms, his fingers curling around mine. Now I'm worried just how far this might go. Those dark bastards have harnessed the powers of the dragons, and with that much power, they just might be a worse threat than Ganondorf ever was. I say as soon as we're done here, my eyes move back to Link's, we must make haste back to Hyrule and inform Princess Zelda of what we found, I said, grimly, as I felt the cold shivers continue to run up my spine. I agree, love, Link said, as a young cream-colored female griffin, decked in dazzling jewelry, came walking over to the table on her hind legs, carrying a tray of mugs in her slender talons. We've been through so much in the last day. I think we should leave in the morning after we both had a good night's sleep. Link and I watched as the young griffin plopped down 2 mugs on the table, then a large clay pot. The female griffin smiled, then turned and walked away. Popping the cork, Link inhaled the fumes of a gusty sigh of contentment, his mouth watering in anticipation. Ah, that's prime, Link said with satisfaction. Give me your mug, dear. Oh my god, no! Link said as he poured himself a mug of griffin spice. This stuff will warm your chilled bones. Lifting the mug to my lips, Stop! Please! Link took a long pull of the griffin spice, then thumped the mug back down on the table. Ah, that's invigorating, he said smugly as he slid my mug back to me. Drink up, my love. It'll help you. Objection! I peered into the mug before lifting it to my lips and drinking the concoction that was within it. Lowering my mug back to the table, I smiled at Link. You're right, my love. This stuff is great, I said pleasantly. We just sat there and reveled in the griffin spice, drinking the entire jug, then called for seconds. Soon after, we were falling, slouching in our chairs. The ale had gone to our heads. Link, I think it's time to go to bed, I said in a slurred tone. Nodding, his eyes blurry, he got up, staggered over to the innkeeper, and pounded his fist on the counter. Innkeep, my wife and I would like to go to our rooms now, Link slurred loudly. I see you've had too much to drink. I will have Terra show you to your room, the griffin added, a slight grin upon her beaked face. After a minute, the cream-colored griffin we saw earlier emerged from the kitchen, a soft smile upon her beaked face. Come, I will show you to your room, she said, as she turned and started heading up the stairs. We both staggered behind her. Blurred images of floating objects appeared before me as we ascended the stairs. We followed the griffin down the dimly lit hallway and stopped at the end of a door. With her talons, she produced a small key and unlocked the door, opening it. Well, here it is. I hope you both sleep well, Terra said smugly as she turned and walked away. Smugly? Leaning against Link, we both stumbled into the room, slamming the door behind us. I unbuckled my phoenix circles and tossed them onto the floor, and I plopped down onto the feathered bed, looking blearily up at Link. I traced my fingertips across the empty spot next to me. Come to bed, my love. Lie down with me, I slurred seductively. Taking his sword and throwing it on the table, he slinked into the bed next to me and pulled the sheet over us. I went into his warm, muscular arms and lay my head against his chest, my fingers tracing meaningless patterns over his stomach. I listened to the beating of his heart as his gentle, broad hands stroked my hair. Images of blissful memories filled into my mind as I closed my eyes, and I drifted into another world. A world of unicorns and small creatures who lifted me up and ran away with me.
Right.
When I awoke the next morning, my head felt like I had been hit with a heavy piece of wood. Painfully, I lifted my head up and saw Link already up and dressing. Struggling to get up, I managed to sit on the side of the bed, my head swimming after the effects of the griffin spice. Then I heard a voice. Oh, Jenna, you're awake. Are you okay, my love? After a minute, I could tell the voice was Link's. Yeah, I think so, but my head hurts and my muscles ache, I said with a groan as swells of nausea welled up in my stomach. I heard a creak of wood as Link sat down next to me. Putting his arm around me, I felt his eyes upon my face. You sure don't hold your ale well, love. I guess you never drank as much as me, Link added, his lips brushing my cheek. Do you think you're well enough to travel? Moving my head slightly, I looked into his loving eyes. I think so, but maybe I should eat first, and we should have to see Dalamar before we depart, I said, holding my head. Agreed. Get dressed, love, and then come downstairs, Link said as he got up and buckled his sword on his back. Grabbing his money pouch off the table, he tied it to his belt and headed towards the door. I will meet you downstairs, love, Link said as he opened the door. Make sure you don't forget your weapons, he added, then walked out, closing the door behind him. I staggered out of bed, the warm rays of the sun filling into the room, lighting the walls, causing the stone marble to glitter with envy.
I'm not jealous. I'm envious. Jealousy is when you're worried someone will take what you have. Envy is wanting what someone else has. What I feel is envy.
I fumbled over the table and rustled through my saddlebags, pulling out a dark blue dress embroidered with the Hyrule symbol across the breast. I took off my ragged and torn, tattered pink dress and threw it into the bags. Then I took the clean, silky dress I took out previously and put it on. I smoothed out the crinkles in the dress, then sat down on the side of the bed. I laced up my riding boots, then strapped my phoenix circles around my waist. Grabbing my blue velvet cloak, I threw it over my shoulders, then tossed my saddlebags over my back and headed downstairs. The common room was empty. The innkeeper was sitting behind the bar, cleaning out mugs with a damp rag. She eyed me as I came into the room.
Phrasing?
Did you sleep well, my lady? The griffin asked, the jewelry glittering from her on her tufted ears as she spoke. I looked over at her, my eyes locking with hers. Yes, ma'am, I did. Thank you, I returned. If you're looking for your husband, milady, he's out back in the stables with Scan, she said, her expression softening. Thank you, ma'am, I said as I headed towards the stables. Link was in the stables brushing Midnight Star, smoothing out the horse's ragged mane with a hard bristle brush. I walked behind him and threw my arms around him. He turned to face his beautiful wife.
Shut your fucking mouth! No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
Jenna, you finally came down. Great, my love, I have wonderful news. A messenger from the tower came with a letter from Dalamar. He says that the Griffin Council wishes to speak with us this afternoon, Link says as he put the brush down. My eyes widened with pure shock. You mean the Griffin Elders want to see us? Holy shit! That's unbelievable! I screeched with excitement. So when do we leave? As soon as they send someone for us, returned Link as he picked up the brush and resumed brushing his horse. It's still early morning, so relax, my love. Why don't you go to the market and walk around for a while? Well, I hate waiting, I said as I started to turn to walk out.
May I make a suggestion? What?
Stop whining!
But I have been waiting to go to the market to buy some herbs. I will be back in a few hours then, my love. Maybe I will find some good silk to buy. Jenna? Link reached into his pouch at his waist. Take these, he said as he placed 2 blue rupees in my hand. Buy yourself something good. Looking down at the rupees, I clasped my hand around them as I shoved them into my pouch. Thank you, Link. Okay, love, I will be back soon, I said as I turned and walked out. Okay, yeah, she did completely forget that she was pregnant. The streets were bustling with all sorts of griffins about their daily wares. The eyes of many different ones watched me wearily as I passed by. Most just either walked the other way or moved aside.
Huh, said Gordon. Fucking foreigners.
I felt a little out of place as I knew all too well the griffins didn't trust anyone, especially humans. But things started to change for the better as some of the griffins started to notice my expensive clothes and the emblem I wore on my dress. Oh my, by the goddesses, she's from Hyrule. What's someone from Hyrule doing here? I heard she came with High Lord Dalamar when someone said that Link, the legendary hero of time, was accompanying them. But even if they did, they're humans. Why have they come to our city? Were just some of the whispers and ushered words I heard as I entered the market. But as I just mainly pushed aside the exasperated spoken words of the griffins in the streets and made my way to the lively marketplace. As I browsed, I spotted a few good silk shops and decided to have a look. Some of the silks that the griffins had were the ones I had never seen before. I stood in utter disbelief as some of the elaborate silks had laid right before me. Then I walked into one shop and saw the most beautiful silver silk I had ever seen in my life. The way it shimmered in the sun made it look like it was interwoven with 1,000 diamonds. I could tell it was really expensive. As I held the soft, intricate silk in my delicate hands, the shopkeeper eyed me curiously.
Phrasing?
He was a lean, muscular, light brown griffin with thick, colorful jewelry around his neck and ears. His soft, green eyes landed upon the silk I held in my hands. So, lass, you like this one? He asked thoughtfully. A smile happened across his beak face. Yes, I do. I have never seen silk as beautiful as this before, I replied as I caressed the it in my hands. That's probably because that type of silk is very rare. You can only find that kind of silk in one place, across the barren sea, the griffin said as he placed a clawed hand on the counter. The jewelry on his thick, tufted ears made a clinking sound as he lowered his head closer to mine for a moment, his sharp beak just inches from my face. I just stared blankly back at him. Across the barren sea? I retorted, eyes wide. I thought no one was ever able to cross the barren sea and return alive. At that, I nearly dropped the silk from my hands. Calm down, lass. You heard wrong. I have been across the barren sea, and I'm here to tell you about it. By the way, lass, the name's Tanis. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. Someone had actually been across the infamous barren sea and lived to tell about it. Preposterous. How could anyone, let alone a griffin, make their way across the barren sea when it's more dangerous than crossing the Black Desert? Stories foretold of a monstrous sea beast that would attack seafaring ships and sink them, leaving its crew to drift along the sea to be swallowed up by the torrential storms, malevolent tidal waves, or deadly whirlpools. I still didn't believe how anyone could cross that ocean without a death wish upon their heads. But I looked back at Tanis with a look of questioning upon my face. Wait, just how did you get across the barren sea without getting sunk by the sea beast or one of those dangerous storms? I said as I eyed him quizzically.
Hey, phrasing!
He just smiled and winked at me. That's the secret, lass. If I told, well, then everyone would have this silk and many other things. But forget about that. I will tell you, since you like the silk so much, lass, and that I know it would look beautiful on you. Tanis rested his head on his clawed hand. I'll give you a discount price. Let's say 20 rupees. Agreed. Tanis looked at me with eager anticipation. I reached into the pouch and pulled out 2 of the 3 blue rupees Link gave me earlier. Deal, I said as I handed Tanis the rupees. Tanis took the rupees out into his talons and bit on them to verify their authenticity before putting them away. Thank you, lass, Tanis said as he handed the silks to me. I hope you enjoy it. You've made a good choice. Thank you, Tanis, I said as I turned to leave. Oh, and one more thing, lass. Be careful in the streets. You know us griffins are not the trusting type, unlike me. But just be careful anyway, Tanis said warningly, his emerald eyes resting on mine. Thank you, I said flatly as I started to walk out. G'day, lass. Take care, returned the griffin as I disappeared into the streets. I walked around the market aimlessly for a while before stopping at a few other shops and bought more healing herbs, then noted the time and decided to head back to the griffin's vineyard. What was the fucking point of that scene? No, seriously, what was the damn point? I can't think of a single one. The griffin's vineyard stood shimmering against the midday sun. Its marble roof sparkled with gold tingle as the sun's rays hit it just right. Its windows shone like crystal as patches as the low beams of the golden orange rays washed through them, causing shadows to dance along the window pane. As I stepped inside, I noticed the fully bustling common room with burly griffins of all colors taking in meaningless dribble as they drowned their woes in ale. Then the innkeeper quickly noticed me and eyed me in a way to tell me to come over.
Phrasing.
Milady, your husband has been looking for you. He said for me to tell you as soon as you came back to meet him out back by the stables. He also said it was important that you do so hastily. Walking up to her, I cracked a small smile. Thank you, ma'am. I will go there now. With haste, I went to the back of the stables and found Link saddling his stallion. When he noticed me, he called me over to him. Where have you been, Jenna? We're going to be late for our meeting with the Griffin Council, Link said urgingly as he walked over to me and placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. Sorry, my love. I got caught up trying to buy some silk. I watched as Link's gaze shift to the silk in my hand. Let me see that, Jenna, Link said. I handed him the silk and his eyes widened. This is very beautiful silk, honey. Where did you get it? I found it at a shop and got it real cheap. Only 20 rupees, I replied. Oh, goddesses, love. You must have gotten a good deal. Usually silk costs more than that. Special silk of this type. But anyway, when we get home, we'll have a dress made out of it for you. No more fucking dresses! That type matches your skin, and I know it will look beautiful on you, Link said with a broad grin, his eyes twinkling with a certain desire. I went into his arms and softly placed my lips on his. I know what you're thinking about, love. It shows in your eyes. But regretfully, it will have to wait until we return home. No, nobody regrets that you have to wait. Nobody, I said softly at his lips, then inclined to them, tasting the spices still left on them from the ale he drank the night before. Then Link's look of desire changed into a serious one. My dear wife, we must now make our way to the tower and see the Griffin Council. We cannot be rude by being late. I pulled out his gentle embrace and walked over to my mare. Taking the silk, I gently placed it into my saddlebags, then saddled my horse for riding. After both horses were saddled, we mounted and ready to leave for the Tower of the Elders. With one last glance at each other, I followed Link out of the stables and onto the marble road. We made our way down the road of twists and turns, weaving in and around the griffins in the streets. Younglings played in the streets, chasing each other as they played various children's games, while females pulled carts filled with flowers or vegetables. The marble-paved streets glistened under the sun's rays, while our horses' hooves made a clicking sound on them as we rode. We were greeted by glances and hard stares as we neared the Griffin Tower. Some even whispered slurs of exasperated comments to why there were humans in the city. But we continued on and rode up to the tower's front gate. 2 Griffin guards holding spears in their talons exchanged surprised glances before their skeptical scares rest upon us. "What business do you have at the Tower of Elders, humans?" one of the guards said, slurred. "We're here to see Lord Dalamar. He sent word the Griffin Council wishes to speak with us," Link said calmly. The 2 guards exchanged glances again, their expressions growing even more skeptical. "What would the High Lord of the Griffin Council want to do with a human?" the guard retorted, again in a slurred voice. Link pushed his horse closer, causing the guards to put their spears in an X across the gate, blocking his entry. He looked at them irritably, his patience growing thin. "Look, just send for Lord Dalamar and he will tell you himself," Link scolded, his hands tightened on the reins. One of the Griffin guards took his spear and placed the tip just inches from Link's chest. "I don't know what type of devious plot you're planning here, human, but if you don't get lost," the guard was cut by a loud, booming voice. "What the hell are you 2 doing?" Dalamar yelled as he appeared in the courtyard just beyond the gates. "Lord Dalamar, sir!" The guard turned shocked and saluted. "We didn't know you were there." "By the fires of hell you didn't know I was there, because you're goofing off, that's why," Dalamar said angrily. "Now why haven't you allowed my guests in?" "Dalamar, sir?" the guard started. "You heard me right." Dalamar walked closer to the guards until he was practically breathing on them. "Open those damn gates and allow them in. Now!" Dalamar snapped, his eyes glittering with anger. Yes, sir," the guard said as he fumbled to get the gates open. Pulling the immense brass gates aside, Link and I rode past them and joined Dalamar on the other side. "Sorry, my friends, for all that. I didn't mean for—" Link cut him off abruptly. "No worry, my friend. We're just glad you came along." Dalamar scuffled a laugh. "Well, those guards are young and naive. Getting good help in the armed service is not easy these days. But anyway, my friends, dismount. I will have the stable hands take your horses to the stables. Again, why do you even have stables? You're frickin' griffins! We must make haste. The council awaits your arrival." Link and I dismounted, then followed Dalamar inside the tower. I just paced outside the massive golden doors for what seemed like an eternity. My eyes just darted from the doors to Link and vice versa, just as I started to wear a hole in the door. "Jenna, you know all that pacing is not going to get them to see us any faster," Link stated flatly, his eyes following me. "I know. I'm just anxious and all this damn waiting." I returned annoyed and continued my pacing. Sigh. "Come on, Jenna. Will you relax and save your energy? You're starting to make me feel dizzy watching you," Link said as he shifted himself where he was standing. Reluctantly, I walked over to where Link was standing and sat down near his feet. "I wonder what they could be doing in there for them to be taking so long to see us," I said grimly as I traced patterns along the floor with my finger. "I'm not sure, my love, but I think they would not leave us out here forever." Just then I heard a creaking sound and our heads jerked up. The massive golden doors opened and a young male griffin stepped out from behind them. "The Council of Elders will see you now," he said as he gestured for us to follow him. I got up and followed Link past the 2 guards inside the council chamber. The inside was dimly lit by torchlight. Beautiful banners hung from the walls, expensive gold trimming wooden tables lined the various vases, and porcelain plates sat on their polished surfaces. Then my eyes traced forward to the 5 pedestals where 5 heavily carved oaken chairs sat with 5 cloaked figures among them. Link and I walked closer, then knelt down before them. I remembered that it was always customary when in the presence of high authority to place your hand on the hilt of your weapon. I watched as Link solemnly placed his left hand on the hilt of his sword and lowered his head. Mimicking him, I placed my right hand on my phoenix circles, ow, then lowered my head as well. We sat in that position for a moment. Then a soft, elderly female voice spoke out. Link, the hero of time, and Jenna Silverblade, please rise and come forth. Rising slowly, I got to my feet and moved closer to the ivory pedestals, and the 5 figures moved out of the darkness to reveal themselves. I noticed that 4 of the 5 were elderly griffins with gray fur and feathers, and 2 of them were female. And on the left sat Dalamar. The griffin that sat in the center looked to be at least 100-year-old female, decked in heavy jewelry and encrusted with emeralds and rupees around her neck, and brightly colored earrings hung from her faltered, tufted ears. The gray feathers around her neck lay flatly against her body, while her wrinkled, clawed hands rested on the arms of her oak chair. Her eyes wore heavy wrinkles around them, and her beak looked as if it had gotten worn over the years.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
Her dull gray eyes watched us, scrutinized us, her worn beak sitting gapingly openly, as she begun to speak. Link and Jenna Silverblade, are ye the ones that Lord Dalamar claims to have saved him and saw him safely home? Moving forward, Link bowed his head and answered, Yes, milady, we are the ones Lord Dalamar speaks of. Link returned formally, his head still bowed. You know, Link Silverblade, we, the Griffins, have never trusted anyone. Yeah, you really don't show that. Ever since the Great War hundreds of years ago, when the humans enslaved us. Oh, what, really? And forces us to do their bidding. Our faith in the humans has never been the same. But you have proven different. You and your wife, Jenna Silverblade, have risked your lives to travel through the land that Ariakas now controls, to safely bring one of our people home. Not too many humans will go to great lengths to save one of us, but you and your wife have proven that not all humans are bad. The elder griffin leaned forward in her chair. However, because of that distrust among our people, we cannot allow you both to stay here much longer.
Close the fucking door, will you? You're letting out all the cold. Look, here's $20. Go down to Burger King, why don't you? I'll save that much on electricity. Close the goddamn door.
I wish that it didn't have to come to this. Dalamar has informed us that you even risked your lives to save him when you were ambushed by a set of draconians. She tilted her head solemnly. But it's that word spread among our people that there's humans in the city, and many are not happy. Some are even rebelling against your presence here. We cannot have an uproar now, even when we need our people to be strong in light of this raging war against Ariakas. So I will have to ask you and your wife to please leave in the morning. Again, I wish that it did not have to come to this, but maybe one day, with the knowledge that there are humans like you, then maybe all of us will learn to trust again. But that time isn't now. However, the Griffin Elder looked over to the elderly male Griffin at her right, then took something from his clawed hand. Should you ever need one of us in time of need, the elder rose to her feet, standing on her hind legs, and walked down the steps in front of Link. We will always come to your aid whenever you call. She outstretched her clawed hand and handed Link a small crystal pendant with a griffin emblem on it. That crystal is called the Mind Glyph. Those are symbolic to our people, but I want you to have it. Should you ever need us, all you have to do is focus your thoughts into the crystal and think of us. All of us here on the council are connected to it telepathically. Just open up your heart and we will answer. She raised a clawed hand and rested it on Link's shoulder, her soft, dull eyes gazing on his. We know about your great exploits, Link Silverblade, also known as the Hero of Time. How you saved your entire homeland from a deadly threat, restoring peace and prosperity to what once was. Knowledge of these great heroics is well known throughout our city. Even teachings of your great deeds is taught to our little ones in school. But her gaze suddenly hardened as her clawed hand moved back to her side, causing the jewelry on her tufted ears to jingle as it moved. Even in light of such bravery, the presence of humans in our city is causing unease among our people. Link bowed his head again, his eyes along the floor. I understand, High Priestess Ahana. We will leave under your orders in the morning. There is no need for explanations. We always known that griffins were not always trusting since the time of the Great War.
It isn't amusing. It's precious half-wit bullshit.
We're sorry that our presence here has been unwanted, Link returned apologetic. Ahana put her clawed hand gently under Link's chin, her talon resting softly against his skin. She slowly lifted his head up until their eyes met. Young warrior, there is no need for apologies. You came here under the pretenses of returning one of our own safely, and for that there's no need for you to be sorry about your presence here. The elder slowly turned and returned to her seat on the council. When the day comes that our people can learn to trust again, we would be honored if you and your wife would return here to our great city. But until then... Link knelt down again and put his hand on the hilt of his sword. There's no need for explanations, High Priestess Alhana. We will respect your wishes. Link just sat there. Alhana's gaze shifted from him to me, then back to him again. Rise again, young hero, Alhana said as her gaze softened once more. Link rose again, and their eyes locked. Always remember of what was spoken here today, and keep in mind that the mind glyph close to your heart, for we are forever indebted to you, Link Silverblade. I will have High Dalamar show you to the gates. Take care, Link and Jenna Silverblade. May the goddesses watch over you. Alhana said as Dalamar rose from his chair on the council and came down beside us. Follow me, my friends. I will have your horses brought to the front, Dalamar said as he walked towards the massive golden doors, then out. We followed Dalamar to the front gates where our horses were saddled and waiting for us. Link and I mounted our horses, then turned to face Dalamar one last time. I wanted to thank you, friends, for accompanying me on my journey and seeing me safely home, Dalamar said appreciably. His crystal blue eyes glistened under the sunlight. No need for it all. It's all in a hero's line of work. I swore by the very code to help those in need, and I strongly adhere to that code, Link returned solemnly. It was a pleasure to accompany you here. My wife and I always wanted to see the magnificent Griffin City. Dalamar laughed huskily. Well, my friends, I'm sure glad that you did join me, or I might have ended up roasted griffin meat to the Draconians. Link's gaze suddenly hardened. Do you think that Ariakas is planning an attack against your people? Link said darkly. Dalamar's face faltered, the tufted ears resting flatly against his head. I cannot be too sure, but the council is going to prepare in case we have to go to war. We already prepared the troops for heavy combat and upping the security along our borders. I'd say we're safe. For now. Dalamar returned flatly, his expression darkening. Well, we wish you all the best of luck, and should you ever need us, you know where to find us, Link said as he turned stallion towards the front gate. Thank you again, my friends, and may the goddesses see you safely back to Hyrule, Dalamar said as he gestured for the guards at the gates to open it. A clank sound filled the air as the heavy brass gates slid open, allowing us to pass. With one look back, we waved one last time back at our newfound friend before departing into the marble streets. Link and I remained quiet for a short time, listening to the clinking sound of our horses' hooves on the marble roads as we rode. Then, finally, it was I who broke the silence.
Shut your fucking mouth! No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
Link, I started. He responded. Do you think we should start heading back to Hyrule now instead of tomorrow? I mean, I think the sooner we get back, the better, I returned fervently, my hands twitching nervously on the reins. Link looked over at me with eagerness in his eyes. I was thinking the same thing, love. We need to hurry back with the information we possess.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
Zelda must be informed of what we encountered on our way here, Link returned with a growing weary. I agree. So are we heading back now? I questioned. Yes. Yes, we are. I think we should get back before anything else happens.
Masturbation is not illegal,
replied the conductor.
but if it were, people would probably take the law into their own hands. And remember, this is Mr. Conductor talking. I know what I'm talking about.
I ask again, what was the point of all of that? Okay. This has gone on for an extremely long time, so instead of doing another rant, I am going to save it for the end. For now, let's just move on to the next chapter, which will be up in a few days. We're reaching the home stretch now, as the next chapter is the final one, where Link and Jenna run into some kind of weird bat creature. Yeah, that's what she decided to end on. Well, sort of. You'll understand what I mean when we get to it.